Hey folks, I'm back from my quarantine hibernation to talk to you about Justice League Dark: Apocalypse War. Recently we sat down with one of the screenwriters for the film, Ernie Altbacker, to get a more in-depth look at the filmmaking process.
Well, hello there.
Hey, how
Hey
you doing?
there, how's it going?
It's going all right. How about yourself?
Honestly, can't complain too much. I'm Eric, this is my buddy Nathan.
Hi, nice to meet you.
How you guys doing?
Doing pretty good. How's your day been?
Fine.
Fine? Awesome. Well, how you feeling after the release of this film and the digital panel you and all the crew went on?
I'm feeling pretty good about it, I guess. Yeah, this one, it really, even when usually when I see an animatic, I'm like, oh no, it looks terrible. And then when it gets all animated and they add the music and everything else, the sound effects, you're like, oh, it's awesome. So there's a wide thing if you don't know what you're looking at to like, oh, geez, so most people aren't used to seeing it, but they tweak it a lot,
No, yeah.
fully animating it.
Absolutely. Well, I know this might have been something you guys went over during the digital panel, but for people who didn't catch that, how long ago was this film planned out? Were you guys preparing for Apocalypse War before Darkseid was reintroduced in Reign of the Superman, or was this just kind of something thrown together?
Well, no, after the Flashpoint paradox, they told James Tucker, yeah, we'd like something in a continuity, so he started figuring out bits of it at that point. But the thing is, they only greenlight a year in advance, so a little hamstrung that way, and you have to get what you can. Sometimes they'd be like, well, no, we want Wonder Woman to be next, and it's like, okay, I gotta do a Wonder Woman and I gotta make it fit into the continuity. And so it was going toward this, but there were no sure things of how many they were going to get and stuff. That conversation's above me. I come in for mine, obviously. All right.
Yeah.
So at what point in so you said they only greenlit 1 year in advance at a time. After how many films was it decided, okay, we'll wrap this up, we'll provide the conclusion this many films in? When was the point when you decided this is the right time to end it?
You know what? That's kind of above my pay grade. Yeah, they call me in. I mean, that's more of a James Tucker question, or Jim Krieg, who kind of wrangles the writing for all of the continuity and other movies. A lot of Bruce Timm's also.
Right.
So they had a master plan, but it wasn't quite as fully fleshed out as they would have liked, because at Comic-Con they usually announce the next year's film. San Diego Comic-Con, they'll go, here's what's coming next. Now those were already in production, right, for a year,
right,
usually, and they'll come out the next year, right?
Gotcha.
So theirs is a year before. A year before anybody knows what's out. Like, you don't know what's coming out. If a Hawkman movie or a Plastic Man movie is coming out, you won't know until it's well into production. The script at that point is done, and they're already storyboarding it. At least they probably recorded the voices, so they're down the road and they know, okay, this thing's going to get done. Here's the schedule. It'll probably premiere either at it's usually a premiere at WonderCon, San Diego Con, New York Con, and then there's an early one in February also. But not all of those are in continuity,
Right.
Understood. Right. So you talk about building the story. So for building this movie in particular, did you build certain action beats first, or did you go about writing the story in using a traditional 3 to 5 act structure?
Well, you know what? I came on to this project, so they already had a first draft. They wanted a bunch of changes. They said that, oh, it's not a Justice League anymore. It's a Justice League Dark. So we want Constantine front and center, and whatever characters you like, you can throw in. You can switch up some characters. So like, I put in Etrigan. I put in Captain Boomerang as kind of comedy napalm in the different teams. Constantine's always kind of like, he's funny to me, and he's so bitter and cynical, but he's got the heart of gold. He's a bastard, but good guy. So I knew I could amp up the humor, and but there was a lot of good stuff there, and they had a bunch of stuff figured out, and then I just added another layer onto it of how they solve everything, how they win,
Yeah.
Right. Is there any besides Constantine, was there any character they told you, we want you to use this one somehow, we want you to do this to this character? How much of that was them and how much of that was you deciding?
Well, you get some latitude, but all of the things that James had set up in other movies, including ones that I had written, he wanted to bring to a conclusion, right? So, like, we knew we needed an ending for the Damian Raven relationship. We knew we needed an ending for the Batman Damian relationship. We knew we had to get rid of Darkseid. We knew, when I came on, I was like, well, if we're solving those two, let's solve Constantine Zatanna, and so a bunch of that. And then there was the little weird things of like, well, if we needed to be more of a Justice League Dark movie, how about we bring Etrigan into it? He wasn't in it, right? And people liked him from the first one. And I was like, well, what about if he's sad from Jason Blood dying, right? So we get basically Emo Etrigan, or Emotrigan, as I'm calling him now, which, when are you ever going to get a chance to write Mopey Etrigan? Like, it should never come again. So it was singular to this continuity in this movie. And I'm just like, I got to do this. Like, and James was way up on it, like, oh, great idea, So it's very a back and forth thing, pitching back and forth. Lex Luthor was not as much of it. And I was like, oh no, I love Rainn Wilson as Lex Luthor. So let's get him in, like, a lot. Let's, I want to amp up his role. This is going to be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sounded like an opportunity to do things with characters that we haven't seen before and likely wouldn't see again, like Etrigan being depressed, or Batman being Darkseid's lackey, or
Exactly.
Luthor sucking up to Batman, which never happens.
Right. He's just like toady Lex, Although in my mind, a lot of it's an act. So
Yeah.
You can spring some sort of trap, but then the events of the script made springing the trap, moot point there.
No, certainly.
That's what we were thinking as well.
Lex always does what Lex has to do to survive.
Exactly.
How difficult was it to maintain the inner logic of the DC universe, like not retconning abilities or lore to fit your own story? Did you find trouble with that?
Oh, that's like sometimes kind of a cheat. I try and stay away from doing that, but you always get your own spin on the characters. It just kind of naturally evolves, Like, I mean, the King Shark is a shark. The Grootifying him, that was Margaret Scott, right? She put that in the first thing, and I thought, oh, this is cool, like, let's let the actor. I'm pretty sure I knew who the actor they were going to get it was. I'm like, let's let him, do it. And we just put in like sad, King Shark is a shark, excited, and let him go to town. Now, I did put in the final line because there's a movie for like Gone in 60 Seconds, the Nicolas Cage version.
Yeah, yeah.
The character Sphinx, right? Doesn't say anything. And then at the very end, he gives this very poignant speech, right? And I'm like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to see if they'll buy it, you know? And again, the guys, Jim Krieg and James, thought, oh my God, that's so funny. Let's like leave it in, you know?
Just off the top of your head, what are some like dramatic moments from this movie that really like you read are significant to you? That you really just felt you got right?
Well, I'll tell you what, the cool thing about this movie is that usually you're writing to get to one specific moment, right? And it's usually in the middle of a fight or something, right? But like, so in Teen Titans and Judas Contract, it's the betrayal and the death of Terra, right?
Mhm.
Or in Batman Hush, it's revealing who he is in the fight, right? In this one, you get like 10. There are so many because, and that was the great thing about being like the final, you know, right person who wrote on this one was I got to do this last pass of, oh, let me make sure that this is really cool, you know, and like I sweat that the Lois and Superman telecall at the end of it. I'm like, oh, I want this to be really good, you know. So I really sweat writing that. I mean, even ones that happened before that, where Etrigan gets his mojo back, you know. So there's that scene, and I mean, obviously there's what happens to Damien, you know, and you know, I mean, that was really fun in this movie to have those there and to be, you know, either writing them or brushing them up. It was just a fantastic experience. You don't get too many where you're like, this is the capper for a 15 movie string. So like solve all of these problems if you can. It's like spinning plates. Gotta get that one. Gotta get that one. You know?
Yeah, certainly.
Absolutely.
Is there any character that that in hindsight you wish you had thrown in? I'm speaking as a huge Dr. Fate fan. Is there anything?
This is understanding you were already spinning like a dozen plates as it is.
So many. There's so many. I'm a huge Green Lantern fan. I would have loved to have either Hal Jordan or John Stewart play a larger role. I'm a Guy Gardner fan. You know, we got one little frame of Guy Gardner, and we never got to do him really right. I really liked when I was working on Judas Contract the Starfire Nightwing relationship, and so I would have loved to do that, but there was just like too many. You know, like at a certain point you have to go, I've got to concentrate on these. And even, it's not a whole movie like concentration. Like Batman Hush, it's all about Batcat. You know, I get a whole movie to explore that relationship. So I had to basically divide it into thirds for the main ones, which are Constantine Zatanna, Raven, Damien, and Lois Superman, but also Batman Damien. You know, so there's actually 4, you know, but the love stories. And then there's also Constantine King Shark. They had to have their.
Oh, yeah, of course. Gosh. Well, where in this creative process do you find as a screenwriter that you struggle the most with? Is it dialogue? Is it creating tension? Or is it just something else entirely?
You know, I guess the start off point, the outlining is the stuff that I sweat the most, because if you don't get the outlining correct, then the script you're relieved when they go, no, just go to script, you'll solve it then. And it's like, a lot of times it's like, no, you won't. So you really have to get the outline right before you go to script, or else you might get a massive rewrite done, or have to do one.
I understand that. That makes a lot of sense.
Writing the first draft is the joy. That's
Yeah.
before any notes come your way and you're just doing it, running the movie in your head, and then there's the rewrites, right? And so you got to be good on the rewrites too. You got to change things that, even if you go, I think my way was better. It's like, well, you don't know,
Yeah.
right? And the thing is, you can't just not take it seriously. You have to effect that change and execute that in the best way possible, because at the end of the day, it is your name that's going to be on it.
Absolutely.
How many times, like how often can a particular plot element be sent back and forth through rewrites?
Oh, you can get up to 5 or so scripts. Usually they don't go over 5, because then they would have to hire you for more money. So they really, then it actually goes in-house, and they'll keep changing it, right through the ADR, which is the dialogue recording they do after, so ideally with good ones, it's second, third, or fourth draft. When you get into the 5, 6, and 7s, it's like you're madly trying to chase a problem that you should have probably fixed it outline.
It's all about the foundation.
Yeah.
Well, during the IGN panel, your host, he ended the stream by saying, "Thanks everybody, I'm gonna go cry now." Is that the type of reaction that you hoped you'd get out of this film?
I didn't think of it that way, but we were aiming for a target with some hope. And what it turned out to be was, it was kind of like a bittersweet ending that's hopeful. And that's much harder to do, actually, than Rocky winning in Rocky 2 or exploding the Death Star.
Yeah.
Like, exploding the Death Star is like, yes, like, it's harder to do.
Just that.
Well, we won, but we really lost. It was this hard. It was this hard for us to win, that even a win, we've lost a lot.
Yeah.
But yet there's hopefulness at the end, in the final frame.
I was gonna say that final frame is really. I was glad you ended it right where you did. It's breathtaking. Gosh, so you've worked on Justice League Dark, Teen Titans Judas Contract, Hush, Apocalypse War, and that's just your films that you've made. As a screenwriter, so accomplished, what advice would you give to aspiring screenwriters or college students like the two of us who are trying to get in?
Well, boy, it's different now than when I got in. Like, I always say, everybody's story, like, my story is useless to anybody else but me, right? Yeah. So, like, I went to film school with Jim Creek, who is a giant. He's turning into a giant of animation. And so he pulled me on to my first job on Spider-Man, the mid-90s one. And, he's given me so much work. And it's like, well, so what do you ascribe your success to? It's like, well, go to film school with Jim Creek. It doesn't transfer over to you, right?
That's fair. I'll adjust the question then. How would you? What advice would you give for folks who are trying to adapt screenplays into film?
to adapt screenplays into a film. So to go make your own movie, you know, the thing that you need most is like bullheaded stubbornness to just keep going in the face of a ton of rejection. If you like, a lot of my success is due to being too stubborn or dumb to quit. Like, just keep going forward. You know, other people are like, this is too hard. I've got a chance at a job with a regular paycheck and you know, stock benefits and stuff. You know, they're out, and I'm just like, no, I want to do this. This will make me happy, and so I just like kept doing it. And you know, jury's still out though. So I'll tell you, you gotta be a bit of a gambler, you know?
That's as much of the interview as I can share today, but for now, Justice League Dark Apocalypse War is available on digital and comes out on Blu-ray and 4K May 19th. Until then, take care, and I'll catch you next time.